Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Classic Arcade Repairs. Excuse me. This is a original Pong PCB syzygy. This is a real deal, not a bootleg, not a ripoff. This is the real deal, and I was not going to do a video on this repair, but I'm gonna pick it up late and kind of give you the back history of what I've done so far to this board, if you can't tell already. When I first got this, first thing I did was I plugged it in, and I got no voltage at all, nothing. This thing runs purely on 5 volts. And yeah, like I said, I got nothing. I got no voltage at all. So I replaced this regulator. This cap was replaced already, I believe. I replaced this cap. I replaced this cap. One of these caps, this had two yellow kind of film caps. One of them was shorted. So I replaced one of those. I replaced both of them. I replaced this little 0.1 microfarad capacitor right here. I replaced the power diodes, the 4007 diodes. I replaced this cap right here. I think this one was already replaced, but I replaced this one. And then I fired it back up, and I got 5 volts on the rail, good. But the problem is this is a 14 megahertz clock, 14 megahertz crystal. I was getting like 50 megahertz at the crystal, at the clock, at the oscillator here on the 7404. So I replaced the 7404. I replaced the whatever that is. I don't remember what exactly that is. And I replaced this 0.1 microfarad cap to try to see if I could get the proper clock signal, and to no avail. It was still 50 megahertz, and it was just garbage. So I knew that this thing just needed to be rebuilt, needed to be wiped out and just rebuilt. So I contacted the customer, the owner of this board, and told him it's basically a no repair unless he wants me to just rebuild it, because it's really that bad. When you get something like that, when you try to look at the frequency and it's all jacked up and it's supposed to be 14 megahertz and it's reading 50, that means that there's just all kinds of digital noise on the board from blown out chips. So, and he wanted me to go ahead and just rebuild it. So I was like, all right, cool. We agreed on a price, and here we are. So I have removed all of the chips except for the ones that I've already replaced. And these ones were already socketed, so I did not remove these sockets yet. I may not. These are desoldered, but I did not remove them because they have bodges to them. And I want to make sure that I record these bodge wires really good before I remove these chips. You know, they've got all these wires connected to them. So, but I went through and I used my TL86-2 chip tester and tested all of these chips. And it came up. Now I had clipped out all of these. I cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I cut 10 chips out before I started desoldering chips. So I know there were 93s right here that were probably bad, because I believe all of the 93s were bad. And there were other chips here. I'm sure that some of them are bad, but what it came out with my testing was, this is my bad bag and this is the good bag. So they're slightly more good than bad, but it's almost 50-50. And every one of the high frequency clocking chips or divider chips is in the bad bag. Every one of them. All of the 161s, the 90s, the 93s, the 107s, everything that handles high frequency division and stuff was bad. So all of this is kind of like 00s and gate chips, simple gate chips and stuff. And there's a couple muxes in here and stuff like that, but for the most part it's just basic gating chips. All of the clocking and high frequency stuff was bad. So I am going to document, good picture documenting all of these bodging. I'm going to remove all of that, and then I'm going to start repopulating this thing. I'm going to socket everything. So yeah, we'll have a newly rebuilt Pong PCB. It'd be pretty cool. All right, well, I have this board completely socketed, and I cleaned it. It's been socketed and cleaned. Ooh. Looking good. I still want to do a good inspection through here and here. Make sure none of this just looks dirty down here. I don't know. I want to do a good inspection on all of these traces, all this whole backside of this board. Make sure everything's okay. Yeah. So we'll do that, and it'll probably be okay. We'll see. So yeah. All right. Okay, I went ahead and removed a lot of this junk up here, this circuitry. Just basic 914 diodes. These pots are 5K, I believe. I'm going to replace those with better, more form-fitting pots. Diode, 914 diode, transistors, just basic 3904 transistors will be fine. And the good news is I've got this chip in. Let me show you what I got. I have this chip, the S04, the 7400, and these 93s in the board. And if we follow the chain, okay, the output looks like it's pin 10 of this guy, so 8, 9, 10. And we have a good solid 14.1 megahertz clock. That is awesome, and it looks beautiful. So, and then that goes to pins 12 and 13 of this 00, and his output here. So basically it's just inverting it. That looks good. And then that clocks F6, which is this guy, on pin 12, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, there's that. Let's do this. Okay. 12. There's the clock. And our output, our system clock output or whatever, is pin 3. That's that guy right there. Look how good that looks. And that is divided by 2. That's a 7 megahertz signal. And then we get, it goes over to these 93s right here and here. And looks like our outputs are, well, we don't have we don't have the inputs and stuff hooked up. Let's see if we get anything out of 8 and 9. Nope, we don't get anything. Because we don't have these loops hooked up in our inputs and stuff, this all has to be connected. But we are on the right track. We got a great looking clock. Our power rails are nice and solid looking. There's no more interference and noisy nonsense. So we're just gonna go ahead and start repopulating this thing, and we will have, this will be the best, this will be the best syzygy Pong board on the planet. Alright, well here I found something that's kind of weird. I don't have 555 timers, if you can't believe that. If you can believe it, I don't have 555s. I got the whole thing populated minus 3 555 timers. But I ran into an issue, a sync issue. It's vertical sync. And what's weird is I got to poking around this vertical sync section up here. And you'll see this 93 here at E9 pin 11. Pin 11, E3 pin 11, or E9. Pin 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. You see it's stuck low, it's low all the time. Oh, I popped a new one in. I actually did a little swaparoo here with these, and same exact issue. So I got to looking at this right here. That is D9, that's a 107. First thing I did was I replaced the 107 to no change, same thing. And then I probed pin 8 and 11. You see how 8 and 11 is pulled high? They got 8 and 11 pulled high. If I probe pins 8 and 11, here's 8, it's floating, and here's 11. It's also floating, it's not pulled high. And I'm not missing a resistor unless, here, this is probably a pull-up right here. Are those not connected to that? I guess that's something I need to, maybe it's a bad trace or something. I'm going to look into that, but if I, basically if I short those two, or even one of them, short one of those lines to 5 volts, it straightens out. So I need to look at that and see, is that pull up right there supposed to be pulling those pins high? If it is, then there's a bad trace. So let me look at that. Alright guys, I was sitting here watching this video that I just put together and realized that I just kind of time jumped where you guys are going to be lost. Where my little interjection here is coming in, you will have seen I had a sync issue, and there was a question with this pull-up resistor right here. Basically, this chip is the the S04, and this chip I believe also had pins 1 and 4, something like, or 7, and I don't remember, but it's supposed to be pulled high, but they show as floating. And I had to go through, basically what I had to do was I had to find out, this one pull-up resistor was pulling up half the board. half of the board's chips had pins that were pulled high by this resistor. So I went through and beeped out everywhere on this board to find out what was this connected to. I'd pull that chip out of the board and I'd turn it back on and see if it was still floating. And after working my way from the back of the board up to the front, and I replaced the resistor. I was kind of pulling my hair out over this, to be honest. But I replaced this resistor. I replaced every resistor on this board. I totally rebuilt this board. But it turned out to be this piece of crap right here, which is a 107. That was pulling everything and messing everything up. That guy right there. So now we will rejoin the program as scheduled, or whatever they used to say. Yeah, but pretty cool. All right, we are revisiting Pong after I got my parts order. I got new, nice, proper potentiometers. And I got my timers, 2 there, 2 here. All new, all socketed. Pong. So I will set the camera up on the tripod and we will play a game of Pong. Nice. Look at that nice glow trail on that ball. Alrighty, I'm going to coin this up and I'm going to try to play by myself. It's going to be tough. Let me move this out of the way a little bit so that I can do that. Move that there. Okay. That's pretty good. We got... Alright. Here we go. Coin up. Uh-oh. These move absolutely perfect. Whoa. This is tough. Very tough. Ah. Oh, wrong way. Yeah. Game. got it set to 11. Yeah, that's awesome though. All right. Okay. Awesome. And as I set out for, I think this might be the best Pong PCB on the planet. I replaced this cap. What I do want to do is I'm going to get some hot glue, and I'm going to put hot glue right here on those two resistors just to keep them from moving. I don't want them shorting each other out and stuff, so I'm going to hot glue that area up a little bit. Yeah, and I put a lot of decoupling in on this too. I just went ahead and put in some decoupling. Just a little bit more. Maybe make things a little more stable. I took out all the hacks. Remember how it had all these hacks running all over the place? I checked out my videos on my prior Pong PCB repairs, and those hacks were not in on the board, so I just removed them all. And it's basically just factory Atari Pong. So I imagine those hacks might make it a touch better on how the ball makes weird, how it kind of, I don't know, how you can, it goes to the other side of the screen or something like that. But that's not that big of a deal. It's almost unnoticeable, to be honest. But this is a completely rebuilt board. All of this stuff is new. I replaced, except for the green caps. All of the green caps are original. Those are ceramic discs. Those rarely go bad. They don't really go bad, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure it might happen once in a blue moon, but not much. The transistors I had to replace because they just broke. They were really fragile, so I just replaced them. It's basic 3904 and 3906 transistors. All the diodes, power stuff, power regulator, these new pots. Everything's socketed. Very nice. Super nice. Yeah, this was the only decoupling really on this board, and I added some on this side as well. Figured why not? Why not? So, and I was going to put a helping power resistor in here. You can see where I put a spot for it. But I hooked this up to my bench power supply. This thing only draws half an amp. So it's not even necessary. You know, so yeah, I mean this thing outputs plenty for this little board. So excellent. All right, it's gonna do it. This Pong was literally saved from the dead. This thing had no chance. This is the chips that I pulled out of this board. Good. Bad. How about that? About half and half. Half of it was good, half of it was bad. Yeah. I'm sure, I mean, it was a while. It was a week or so ago, a couple weeks when I was messing with this. And I was getting garbage frequencies on the clocking, and everything was floating around, just kind of doing this junk, and this thing just looked terrible. So I knew it just needed a clean slate. This thing needed a clean slate. The board, physically, the board is nice. It was a nice board. It just had junk parts on it. Yeah, so excellent. All right. that's going to do it for the Pong PCB, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next Classic Arcade Repair. Peace out.